Hello everyone, welcome to a new video. Finally making the patch notes video. It's very long. It's the biggest patch we've ever seen. Not because of the DLC characters, but due to the huge amount of changes seen with the standard characters. Other than Andy, the DLCs didn't get a whole lot. And maybe Ken. Mr. Big is literally just a nerf on jumping heavy punch. Less plus on block. And less plus on hit. Biggest patch. Brand new game. Starting off, Melee Ref Blow, when it loses to a high dodge attack, now has a slowdown effect. When you correctly use a high dodge attack, has a slowdown. Ref Blow, which is weak to it, does not have the slowdown, so they fixed it. So now for 5 universal adjustments. It says 4, but there's one that is almost universal. It's not listed as a universal adjustment. It's very character specific in the way they're handling it. So number 1, EX moves do not get a knockdown anymore. Either this patch or a later patch, a move that normally has a hard knockdown will have a hard knockdown on that EX version as well. But if the move normally doesn't have a hard knockdown, it's a soft knockdown in the EX version. The game would like devolve around landing the first hit into knockdown, 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 knockdown through like EX combos, you know, rev axles, which do a lot of damage. You just get snowballed basically. So this is to prevent a massive snowball. Because characters will be tech rolling a lot, that means this patch will favor the faster characters because you can just roll away from stuff and you can't escape. Massive change. Some characters are definitely hurt by that. Kine sets up the Oki Orb. You'll probably have a hard time setting up Oki Orb without super. Overheat. This is probably, in my opinion, one of the worst changes this patch. They want to increase the penalty of entering overheat, and I feel like this small change is too harsh. Because one of the things I like about Fatal Fury that I don't like in Street Fighter is even if you enter overheat, it's not so bad. Like, your damage is going to be absolute garbanzo, but it's not curtains. Like, you're not gonna be at 0 super bar completely defenseless against a guard crush setup. Now you can actually like defend yourself with a risk. If the DP is blocked, you just like Omega die. But now the moment you enter overheat, you actually Omega die. Because on a character that can normally defend themselves with DP, they cannot defend themselves. And characters that defend themselves with an unorthodox attack, like Mr. Big with his stance parry, they'll still work. The problem is it's less effective. Wild Punish, if you want to land either a hit grab or an actual command grab during Wild Punish, the hurt box is bigger. So you whiff punish with normal and then you do like EX command grab. I think Kizak is called EX Artemis Rex. It's like the full screen like jump scare grab like Orochi Yashido. The EX version is a hit grab, so like if you whiff punish with that, you can get like EX Artemis grab into maybe ref axle into something else maybe. Anti-air invincible specials. Characters with good defense, the heavy punch version of their DP break has added scaling to make the combo do overall less damage. Except for characters who cannot defend themselves very effectively, Bijane, strike counter, Mr. Big, high-low parries, and Salvatore Ganacci counter supers. And change number 5 is not listed here again. You have to look into each of the individual characters. Adjustments made to make level 2 supers even better. One type of change you see across several characters, damage redistributed to be more on the early half rather than the late half on a breakable level 2 super. So Terry Bogard, he does triple geyser. The final hit of triple geyser does a lot of damage. They've redistributed a lot of the damage to make twin geyser do a lot more and triple geyser do less. That way you can go for heavily scaled twin geyser combos. It's nice that they're buffing level 2 supers. I don't know if they're good still between ref supers completely cooling your ref meter down and level 1 supers being super good between like their damage being like really good. The overheat change, they provide invincibility during overheat because you cannot use your meterless DP anymore. I'm not sure if that's enough, especially now when the Chun-Li update added guts. You have extra damage reduction within the SPG health range, and it depends on the placement. Axle 10%, flux 20%, final 30%. So between nerfs to damage, harsh increase in overheat penalty, the level 2 super change is probably not enough. If anything, why use level 2 super when you can use your ref super to escape overheat, bring yourself at 0 cooldown? Like, set your HP to 30 rev, and if you're almost dead, that means you have a pretty much guaranteed use of a ref super. Kill the opponent with level 2 rev, and if it doesn't kill, meter cools down and you can use your DPs again. It's nice that they're buffing level 2 supers, but like the other changes made in the patch makes level 1 supers and ref supers more valuable as well. Players attending tournaments might still avoid using level 2 supers, the red lines. Now for Rock Howard, 2 bug fixes. When you wild punish with crouch heavy punch, it didn't force stand the opponent, and there was no height restriction on modern controls or smart style Shipuken, like the air fireball, so they added one. Now for the general changes. Back throw has less recovery on hit, but they limited how much you travel on the second half of the animation, probably to worsen Oki. Proximity heavy punch, less plus on block from -2 to -5. Proximity heavy kick, 5 less damage, +1 on hit instead of 0. For light punch, 5 more damage, bigger hitbox and hurtbox, less pushback, can light chain earlier, more difficult to cancel. For light kick, 5 more damage. For heavy kick, 1 frame faster startup. Crouching light punch, 5 more damage. Crouch light kick, bigger hitbox when used in neutral as opposed to chains and not like natural links. Bigger hitbox, more pushback, more difficult to super cancel. Crouching heavy punch, startup is 5 frame to 6 frame, and they increase the damage by 10. Rock had a frame trap, which is proximity light kick into crouch heavy punch. It's a combo trial as well as a pretty strong frame trap on block. By increasing the startup specifically from frame 5 to specifically frame 6, they made the frame trap less annoying while still retaining the combo, because proximity light kick is +6 on hit. Command combo 1, second hit does 10 more damage, bigger hitbox. Reppuken, all versions have a bigger Rock Howard hurtbox after deploying the fireball. Heavy changes specifically, 2 frames faster startup on hit 1 of double Reppuken, faster splash as well, and the second hit has added launch on hit. EX Reppuken, less recovery, but hit 2 has less pushback duration on block. It's less plus on block to compensate for the less recovery change. So it's still +2 as it is pre-patch and post-patch. Bigger hitbox and hurtbox. Hit 1, 10 less damage, more forward travel on the double Reppuken splash. Hit 2, less knockback on midair hit so you can combo easier. And they changed the restriction on rev axle on EX Reppuken. Instead of needing to hit both hit 1 and hit 2, now it's hit 1 +2, hit 1, hit 2. So all 3 different rev axles. EX air hit, a bigger hitbox, and increased hit stop on the first fireball to make it easier to connect the 2 moves together. Harder to combo on it. Rising tackle, increased forward travel on a heavy version until startup. Both heavy and EX have less pushback on block. The first hit has the DP break nerf. Hard edge, that's the elbow tackle. More travel, has more active frames, and the EX version does 10 more damage. Crack counter, both do 20 more damage. Rage run, you run faster, the teleports behind you has less recovery. The cancel window of Shinkunage matches the recovery of teleport behind you. So by having less teleport behind you frames, you have less cancel window frame. This is an adjustment, this is not a real nerf. You have less deceleration, which means like you can slide better as you teleport behind the opponent. Layup, that's the geese triangle jump. If you cross this up, it's less plus on hidden block. I do not have the numbers for air attacks because the timing can be insane on jump attacks. Raging storm, faster startup, but it's harder to destroy projectiles with it. Shining Knuckle, level 2, has its damage redistributed. Rock saw some adjustments. I'd say he's stronger now. Not a whole lot stronger, but he is stronger. This is a good patch. Terry Bogard, far light punch, 1 frame slower, 5 more damage. Now you might be concerned about this because Chin Buster forward feint is +8. However, they buff command combo 1. This is more of a neutral nerf than a combo nerf. Crouch light kick, bigger hitbox and hurtbox. Crouch Heavy Punch is more plus on hit from -1 to 0. And then Command Combo 1, it has 1 extra frame on hit, but also on block. Instead of -5, it's -4 on block. It cannot be punished by a far normal. It can only be punished in proximity. EX Power Wave, bigger Fireball Nullify hitbox. Burning Wave, that's when you hold EX or Heavy Power Wave to get Round Wave. Less pushback and more plus on block. A huge jump from -1 to +4. Burn Knuckle, meterless versions, they have less recovery, they have more knockback on hit, and the light version does 10 more damage. Power Dunk, DP break scaling on heavy, the EX version, the first hit, so you break, does 10 more damage. Power Charge, light version has less recovery on hit 3, and the heavy version has faster startup from frame 25 to 18, but it has more recovery. They wanted this move to be like a plus on block tool, heavy Rekka, +2 on block before, and 25 frame startup. Now they just want it to be a combo tool, 18 frame startup, -3 on block, and then they gave Burning Wave the plus on block tool. On one hand, EX Burning Wave is easier to use than Heavy Power Charge, and it's more plus. Instead of +2 Power Charge, it's +4 Burning Wave. On the other hand, Burning Wave cost meter. Hit 2 more recovery, hit 3 less recovery on the heavy. Power Geyser, they increase the screen freeze without the startup. The amount of freeze you get when the opponent does like a jump scare Power Geyser is very short, so they increased it. So if you're not pressing a button, you have more time to react to the Power Geyser and block than before. But if you're already pressing a button, you're already in the middle of a move, it doesn't change a thing. Nothing's changed with this move. Damage redistributed on level 2 Power Geyser. Buster Wolf, 30 more damage on level 1. Increased the jump scare time. Increased launch height on hit. In the trailer, Juggle Buster Wolf combos into Light Burn Knuckle, when typically players would do Buster Wolf into Power Geyser. So it's like a 4 frame increase in juggle leniency. Buster Wolf level 2 has more invincibility on projectiles, so you can like punish a full screen fireball more effectively. I'd say Terry was more buff than Rock. Bijane, less recovery and forward dash, so like repeated dashes are faster, not the dash itself. However, backdash has bigger hitbox and delayed cancel into air moves like Afterburner. Proximity light kick from +5 to +6 on hit, less pushback on block. Delayed special cancel, I should say. So cancels into special moves are the same, but chains into your other normals and links into your other moves are 1 frame better. Proximity heavy punch, 1 frame slower, less safe on block, -5 to -7, more pushback. Proximity light kick, more pushback. Second hit on block went from -1 to +1. Far light punch, bigger hitbox. Far light kick, bigger hitbox, more plus on hit and block from -1 to 0. Far heavy punch, smaller hitbox. Crouch Heavy Punch, more recovery, but it's more plus on hit. On cancel, it's 1 frame better, but using the move raw on hit, it's 1 frame worse. So it went from -5 to -hit because of the added recovery. But if you feint it into nothing, it went from +1 to +2. And then delayed the timing on hitbox return. That means your like whiff punish hurtbox is lingering for a little bit longer. Jump light kick, more plus on cross up hit. Afterburner, faster startup, more plus on hit and block, more pushback, more landing recovery. Command Combo 1 has more scaling on hit. Heavy Tornado is 22 frame startup. Crazy Ivan Light, aka the dress, bigger hitbox, more pushback. The Hind, which is the leap into the spin, you can break the second hit spin to get a launch combo. New combo hitbox, reduced launch height on hit. Harrier B, all of them have increased cancel window for follow-ups, and all of them kick follow-up 1 and follow-up 2 have increased fall speed for Bijane. EX Harrier B, more pushback on block, more pushback on hit 1, more pushback and more plus on hit 2, less plus on block hit 3. Secret Mademoiselle, that's the counter, strike counter special. The butt attack has less recovery frames. On the meterless versions, you have to trigger the counter. On the EX version, it's a manually inputted follow-up. Many Torpedoes is no longer invincible to projectiles, and Aurora has its damage redistributed on level 2. She got buffed. Not by a whole lot though. I'd say she got less buff than Rock and Terry, but who knows. Marco! EX Tatsu now gets the counter hit and wild punish bonuses on hit. And Zanretsuken his ref attack. Duration of the guard point is now normalized. Proximity heavy punch, 10 more damage, more pushback. Smaller proximity zone. Proximity heavy kick, 5 less damage. Far heavy punch, more plus on block, from +2 to +3. Far heavy kick, more pushback on hit, and more plus on hit, +4 to +5. Now for specials, EX Fireball has more active frames, Heavy Uppercut has break DB scaling, and then several changes to EX Tatsu, including the bug fix from earlier. Less plus on hit from +2 to +1 on the break version. If you don't break it, it's a knockdown. If you break it, +1. More hit stop on hit 3, I guess to make it easier to ref cancel into ref blow. Counter, all of them have bigger body collision box when the counter is successful, a bigger hitbox when catching the opponent but less forward travel, less pushback after landing the counter, so it's easier to get a follow-up, like a combo, and less recovery on whiff. Kosen Kyaku. So just like Cody has Zonk, where you hold the punch button and then let go, Marco has 2 Zonk moves, 1 punch and 1 kick, 10 more damage on all of them, and the EX version has less recovery on hit and less knockback on hit to make it easier to get follow-ups. His supers, they redistributed the damage from level 1 Haoshokoken to Super Kyokugen Koho. Fireball does 220 and uppercut does 250 instead of the other way around. In addition, Haoshokoken on level 1 and level 2 is way more punishable on block. Already was at -27, but now it's like -42 on level 1 and -52 on level 2. It should be like, you should get like mega dummy punishes if you block this up close, and if you're not up close, you have way better advantage. He got nerfed, but he got buffed. Will still be a top tier. Preacha's section is really small actually, but she got good buffs. Proximity heavy kick, more plus on hit, +6 to +7. For light punch, more plus on block, but also has more recovery. Better cancels, but the same raw on block. Far heavy punch, +10 more damage, and less on block from -3 to -5. Special, Sine Cosine, that's her Shoryuken. Less pushback on block on both, and the heavy version has a bigger hitbox and DP break scaling. Tangent, the spike after the Sine Cosine. Less landing recovery, the heavy version has a ground bounce instead of a ground slam. Instead of a combo ender, it's a combo extend. Backstab Parabola Knee, less launch height on hit. The launch height on hit was crazy on that move. Hyperbolic Kick, that's Preacha's version of Joe's slash kick. Combo version, and less launch height on midair hit on the EX version. Preacha's Rekka, faster startup on the meterless version, frame 13. And the EX version, final hit has more launch height, enabling more combos. Screw Archimedes Spiral, 10 more damage on both versions. PMC squared, level 2, redistributed damage, less recovery on break. Hotaru, slower run. Now one of Hotaru's traits is being able to deploy a slow fireball and then run towards the opponent with it and set up like some fucked up pressure. Reduced travel speed combined with Hakisho's increased projectile on the slow variants kills that strat completely. Proximity light punch, less plus on hit. Instead of +6, it's +5. Less pushback. Proximity light kick, more plus on hit. +4 to +6. More pushback on hit. Delayed cancel timing. So it may buff links, but it may not buff special cancels. Far light punch, smaller cancel window. Far light kick, bigger hitbox and hurtbox. Crouch light punch, smaller cancel window. Crouch light kick, bigger hitbox and hurtbox. Smaller delayed chain window. Jump light punch, you can cancel into a special or turnaround. Jump heavy punch, increase height on air to air. Hakisho, increase projectile speed. Soshoshin, all versions have a bigger hitbox on light it's hit 1. On heavy and EX it's hit 3. Heavy version has increased launch height on juggle, and the EX version has more pushback on block when breaking. Kobikaku, the Reflect, bigger hitbox, a new combo version, increased launch height, less pushback, and more recovery. And more recovery stacks with lessened plus on block. So now it's -5 on the light version instead of -2, and the heavy version is -2 on block instead of +2. Chenjisho DP, more knockback on light, and heavy has DP break scaling and less pushback on block. EX boosted forward travel, less pushback on block, limited the rev axle to the end of the move. If you rev axle into dive kick, only a specific variant of dive kick will come out. Command grab, Sajutai, +2 startup on both meterless and EX versions, smaller hitbox, and the meterless version has less travel. And then the backflip super, level 2 has its damage redistributed. Vox Reaper, bigger proc zone on proximity light kick, far heavy kick, more plus on hit and block, -7 to -5 on block, +1 to +2 on hit, less recovery on hit. Jump heavy punch, better air-to-air launch. Kokuen Ryu is a little weird because there's like multiple versions, whether you hit with the arm, you hit with the fireball, and you hit with the tip of the fireball, which does not knock down. The wave of light went from -6 to +2 on hit when you hit mid without like knocking down, and the tipper went from -4 to +4. On block went from -10 to -6, and the tipper went from -8 to -4. Heavy version, it's a knocking down move. But again, we saw alterations with the versions, like the spaced versions that are not knockdowns. So the arm is now, I have no idea how to check the prior versions. On the heavy version, -4 tipper, -6 mid, -8 arm. On hit, +4 spaced, and +2 mid. And now the EX version. The arm is now safer on block from -10 to -8, but the space fireball EX hit 1 break is now +6 on hit and +2 on block. The launcher spaced +5 on hit, -6 on block. You have to space it to get those numbers. Kyochujin, all of them have less hit stop if the base of the attack hits, like bottom of the hit. Light version has increased dive kick cancel window. Heavy version has DP break scaling and less pushback. In the EX version, less pushback on block. EX Meshu Hisetsu, EX dive kick, reduce speed of opponent's descent on midair hit. Standalone version is more plus on block. So like if you do raw dive kick on block, it's more plus. If you do it from the DP, it's the same. More hit stop, changed grounded slam, grounded knockdown to grounded stagger on hit. So it can be a combo starter. Dash attack, more travel, and the light version has a bigger hitbox on the combo version. Command grab, more recovery on whiff, less recovery on hit. Dash attack super, reduce launch height before attack startup on the level 1 version. Spin kick super, damage redistribution. Kizak, a faster walk. A forward dash has a bigger jump cancel window, allowing Kizak to hyper jump. The initial part of the dash has less movement, but then the latter half, and especially the entire dash overall, has more travel. So effectively, it's like this specific change is to make dash cancel jump cancel SPD less powerful. Back throw, less recovery on hit. Proximity light punch, bigger proximity zone, less plus on hit and block, but also less recovery, so it's the same. In terms of cancels, it's probably worse, or maybe better, because they're spent less time in block stun and more time like in the blocking animation, which could open them up to an SPD, but the raw plus frames are the same because of the reduced recovery. For light punch, bigger hitbox, hurt box lingers less in more active frames. For light kick, adjusted the motion, bigger hitbox, less recovery. For heavy punch, faster startup, bigger hitbox that cannot be used for anti-air, bigger hitbox, more recovery. So as a result of more recovery, it goes from +3 to +1 on hit. It goes from -6 to -8 on block. Crouch heavy punch, bigger base hitbox and more plus on hit from -2 to +3, less recovery. Crouch light kick, bigger hitbox, smaller hitbox. Crouch heavy kick, bigger hitbox. Jump light kick can cross up. Back heavy punch, more scaling, more recovery. And as a result of the more recovery, it goes from +3 to +1 fully charged and +11 to +9 fully charged. But it can juggle now. Back heavy kick charge, juggle hit changed from flip to knockback. So flip is like spin out. In Street Fighter 4, spin out does not combo anymore. Knockback would allow you to combo from it, but it has increased scaling, so you get less damage from follow-ups. Justice Hurricane, light and EX. Light and EX have a bigger hitbox, and the EX version can rev axle. Poseidon Wave, light version has faster startup on one frame. Heavy version on block, it goes from -8 to +2, and less recovery and travel when breaking. EX version can rev axle earlier, more plus on block -10 to -5, more pushback on block, and less recovery when breaking. Olympus over jumping elbow. All of them have adjusted hitbox to match the animation. Light has a bigger hitbox on hit 1 and less recovery. In the EX version, only getting the second hit produces a ground bounce, which allows for a follow-up to punch super, where you just punch the opponent repeatedly. Hercules throw, a smaller throw hitbox. It has a new combo hitbox. More recovery on whiff. Active Typhoon, you jump on your opponent's shoulders for a grab. Longer anti-air interval, more recovery on whiff on all versions. Light and heavy specifically have faster startup and a smaller hitbox. The EX version can rev axle. Artemis Rex, the forward dash grab, less hit stop, more block stop on the EX version. And all versions have reduced recovery on break. More plus on block, maximum -43 to maximum -27. Wrath Blow has a bigger hitbox. Griff Drop Super Kick. The increased recovery on Daedalus Attack, Just Defend, Guard Cancel version. It has less recovery than normal. Kevin Ryan. Forward dash has more travel. Proximity heavy kick does 10 less damage because of crazy changes you're about to see. Far light punch, bigger hitbox and hitbox. Far heavy punch, slower startup from frame 9 to frame 10. Far light kick, more plus on block, -3 to +1, big change. Far heavy kick, bigger hitbox. Crouch light punch. The cancel window to another normal is delayed and is smaller. Crouch light kick, bigger hitbox. High dodge attack, bigger hitbox, smaller hitbox. Forward light kick, command normal. Poly kick, bigger hitbox and hitbox, less pushback, less recovery. Hit 1 is more active and has less travel. Hit 2 is less plus on hit and block, but also has less recovery, so it evens out. Creeper, the crawl, activated by double tap down and kick. Increased follow-up buffer window. The punch follow-up from crawling has more scaling. Avoid mine. Less recovery. An EX version can rev axle before recovery ends. Hell Rotor, less feint recovery. If you EX Hell Rotor feint, proximity heavy kick, you get proximity heavy kick again. You can link so many heavies from the proximity heavy kick Hell Rotor chain. Kevin Ryan will probably do a lot of damage, which was why the proximity heavy kick damage nerf was warranted. Bigger buffer window, fully charged version activates earlier. On the light version, fully charged has higher launch height. Charged version has a bigger hitbox. EX version, hit 1 has a bigger hitbox. Hell Trap, bigger combo hitbox and bigger hurtbox. Adjusted travel on throw connect. More active frames. Okay, let's talk all the active frames I'll talk about later. Let's talk about the animation length and frame data stuff at the end. Let's talk about the other stuff first. On the heavy version specifically, 10% more damage if you do the whole thing. On the EX version, vacuum on hit 1. So if you space this move, you'll pull the opponent towards you and you can do a lot of like really dumb shit on block. There's less pushback on block. Now the last part, it says increase active frames, increase pushback duration on block. In game and on Juicebox's frame data chart, the number is the same despite them saying that it's more plus on block. They added 1 active frame to the entire animation. So a longer animation would mean that if you hit it on the first earliest active frame, the frame data would actually be worse. So they've added 1 extra frame of plus on block to like balance it out. Hell Drop, all of them have a bigger hitbox and the explosion now beats projectiles. Light version does 40 more damage, has faster startup by 5 frames, 31 to 26, and less recovery, but also less plus on hit on block. It's the same. The attack has less animation frames, but the unblock and the on hit values are the same. Heavy Hell Drop, 50 damage on front hit, plus 20 damage on cross up. Faster startup by 5 frames again, less plus on hit and block, but also less recovery. And then EX is a cross up hitbox. You can cross up with EX, not just heavy. Hell Drop is not a knockdown. If you cross up someone, you can rev axle into additional follow-ups. That is strong. And then Gatling Freeze, the change we saw in the trailer. Minus 20 damage on level 2, but a grounded opponent will stay grounded on hit. If they're being juggled, they have increased height. Probably, like so far on the first half of the roster, because that's like how far I've written everything down, Kevin is probably the most buffed character of the patch. A lot of the top tiers of the prior versions of the game kind of counter him. Kevin is still reliant on his bad matchups being fucking shot, but he's less reliant now. Some of these changes are insane. Likane, Far Light Punch, bigger hitbox and hurtbox. More active, but you cannot special cancel it anymore. So you cannot do like crouch light kick, stand, crouch light punch, stand heavy punch until like scoop super anymore. Far light kick has less pushback on hit and block. Far heavy kick, they have adjusted the animation. Smaller hitbox, less recovery. As a result of the less recovery, it's -4 on block, +1 on hit. Crouch light punch, bigger hitbox and hurtbox. Smaller light chain window. Crouch heavy kick, bigger hitbox and hurtbox, travels less. 6P, bigger hitbox, more active, less pushback. You're in a disadvantageous position. It might be easier for the opponent to start something unless you do a reversal super. Bo Tako Tobi Giri, forward light kick, 6B. 1 frame faster startup, more active, bigger hitbox, and less plus on hit and block. On hit, -1 to -3. On block, -5 to -7. Specials, spin staff, Senpukon. If you destroy a projectile, you have less recovery frames. Forward staff, 6P. Has less recovery frames. Forward staff, back P. The EX version, the amount you pull the opponent is different based on distance, which could lead to more consistent combos. Diagonal up staff, 6P. Bigger hitbox, increased launch height on the heavy version. Kyushu Hishon Kon backflip. I was able to like squish down this many changes into 3 lines. Bigger hitbox, bigger air hurtbox. If you break, you have less pushback on block, and the first hit of heavy is -5 instead of -7. That's it. Like, it takes up a good amount of the screen for just like 3 lines of text. Sadan Soju, that's Rekka. Hit 1, bigger hitbox. Hit 2, more plus on hit and less recovery. Heavy hit 2, more pushback. EX1, less plus on hit and block. EX hit 2 has more travel, more plus on hit, less pushback on block. Supers, -20 damage on super spin staff, including the level 2 version, -20 damage. Scoop staff, -10 damage, but they redistributed the damage across the super for better breaking on level 2. Mai Shiranui, forward movement delayed at the start of the dash. At the end of the dash, you stop on a dime. That's what deceleration is now more pronounced mean. It's just you hit the brakes harder at the end of the dash. Proximity light punch, bigger proc zone, more pushback. Proximity light kick, more pushback on hit, less pushback on block. It went from +3 to +8 on hit, and it says increased pushback distance on hit and block, but it's the same, and less recovery. However, it has delayed cancel timing. Proximity heavy kick, bigger proc zone, hit 1 more pushback on block, hit 2 more pushback on hit. Far light punch, bigger hitbox and hurtbox. Far light kick, less recovery, but also less plus on hit and block. The frame advantage changes are compensatory, because on hit, it went from +1 to +2 despite being less plus. -4 to -3. Crouching light punch, 1 frame, slower startup, bigger hitbox and hurtbox, delayed chain cancel. Crouch heavy punch, smaller hitbox, bigger hitbox, more active, more plus on hit from -2 to 0. Crouch light kick, bigger hitbox, and you can chain earlier. Now for specials, Kachosen, light has less recovery, heavy is the faster projectile. On the EX, hit 1 is more plus on block, but it's to ensure that you can not only connect the 2 Kachosens into each other better, but also you can rev axle the first Kachosen. To compensate, it's less, the second hit is less plus on block, but they reduce recovery frames to balance it out. Ryuanbu, Firetail, heavy hit 1 has a bigger hitbox and hurtbox, and EX hit 2 has more pushback and is more plus on block, -3 to -1. Hisat Shinobi Bachi, increased buffer window for breaks. Third hit has more block stop. There's less pushbacks on hits 1, 2, and 3. The EX version cannot rev axle after landing from doing jump elbow. So they probably don't want you to do Hisat Shinobi Bachi land on the ground EX. They want you to do Hisat Shinobi Bachi midair into air ref blow or an air special. Sayo Chidori, the fan attack. Meterless has increased launch height on juggles, and the EX version has a new combo hitbox, Hit 1 is more active, but the move has a bigger hurt box. Hana Arashi DP, bigger hitbox and hurt box, heavy DP break scaling, less pushback on block. Ruzasabi no Mai EX, charge time decrease on Rev Axle. They specified how much they decreased it on Kain, but not Mai for some reason. Ref Blow, this is specifically Air Ref Blow. Yumi Hari no Mai. You fall faster, your hitbox lingers longer, and second hit is more active, and you have more landing recovery. Supers, Kagira no Mai. It does 20 less damage on both versions. And a bunch of changes to your other Super Shinobi Bachi. Plus 20 damage on both versions, and then a bunch of buffs to the level 2 version when used on the ground. Damage redistributed, less recovery when breaking, and then hit 3 specifically is now plus 6 on hit. In the air, less landing recovery and bigger hitbox on both versions. Level 1 is 70 damage and has faster startup, and level 2 in the air has plus 50 damage. Last one for this video, Kim Dong Hwan. You run faster for your normals, faster startup on far heavy punch and far heavy kick. Raimei-san, faster startup, 28 frames to 25 frames, more pushback on block, less recovery, and it's more plus on hit. Now, I did check in game, and on the old outdated frame data chart, it just says plus 2 on hit for Raimei-san. Now it's plus 2 standing and plus 3 crouching. Shiden Kyaku Stomp. Faster startup, backwards movement stopped on second half. There are some moves where the character will approach an attack, and then during the recovery, they'll like step back to readjust. There's also a Joe change with this exact wording. What I assume is the backwards movement is stopped, making them closer to the opponent. Kusajin DP. So light, 5 frame startup. You have a 5 frame invincibility move. Nice. Less travel, more knockback to be harder to combo. Less launch height. And on a heavy version, DP break scaling. Ashi Binta, that's your flurry kick attack. Less pushback. Changed knockback type on mid-air hit from spin out to knockback. Hishio Kyaku. EX dive kick, relaxed height restriction, and it will auto correct on cross up. Raimei-dan, that's stomp super, 10 more damage, and redistributed the damage when breaking the level 2 version. Super Dong Hwan kick, they've increased the landing recovery on the move because there was this combo where you just looped Super Dong Hwan Kyaku into DP, air Raimei-san break, into another Super Dong Hwan kick, into another DP. There was basically like a loop you could do in the corner. The increased landing recovery is supposed to ensure that doesn't work anymore, but I have seen people still use this move in that way. That's gonna be it for part 1 of the balance video. I still need to study the other characters, and if I extend it for that long, I'm gonna kill myself editing the full video, so I'll stop here for the sake of my sanity. Thank you guys for watching. If you liked the video, hit like and subscribe. Subscribe in order to catch the part 2 video, and I'll see you next time. Have a nice day.